Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part four of my 2024 music album recap series. So, again, this is like a mini series just going through all the albums I listened to in 2024. There'll be a link in the description to check out the previous three parts, as well as a list of all of the albums discussed in this particular video. So, it's got to get my spreadsheet pulled up, and then we'll start off listing our albums. Again, this is the next 100 albums following the previous video. So let's start off here. Starting off, we have the Miseducation, A Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill, an absolute classic in the kind of genre of like this, like hip hop. It's like soul. One of the greatest albums of all time, I would say. Next up, another a classic is Abbey Road by the Beatles. Just one of the greatest albums of all time as well. Following that was Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. Kind of definitely really changed their sound for this particular album. It has like God Only Knows and just some incredible stuff. That was a huge kind of departure off of the normal kind of like surf style music they had done previously. After that, I listened to Making Mirrors by Gotye. I think that one has somebody that I used to know on it. After that was Pretenders by the Pretenders. That's a great one as well. Next was Graceland by Paul Simon. That's a classic. It has obviously the title track, Graceland, just a bunch of other amazing songs on there as well. I have that one on vinyl as well. Next up was The Cure with Disintegration. Following that was Kid A by Radiohead. That's a great one. Then I listened to Villains by Queens of the Stone Age. I don't think it's one of their best albums, but it was still enjoyable. After that was The Fool by SATE. Following that up was Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. It's a really good pop album. A little bit into some kind of lo-fi style kind of just music, kind of similar in the vein to say something like Neutral Milk Hotel, in my opinion, was the Glow Part 2 by the Microphones. Really like that one. Next, after that was 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul. Following that was some jazz with A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. Next up was I Like to Read by Hot Karl. Essentially, I don't think he ever had a studio album properly get released. I guess he did The Great Escape, but this, I think, from what I remember reading, I Like to Read was kind of a collection of stuff that was like unreleased at the time. Because I know he was signed to a record deal that never happened, and then I think he got the recordings back, and that is where that album came out of. So that was again I Like to Read by Hot Karl. Really like that. Really like that one. Next up was Take to the Sky by Kat Edmonson. Been a fan, I think, since I want to say, first time I heard her was like 2011 or so. She did a really great cover of, see, what was the cover? It was The Cure, I think it was. We actually just bring up the track list for that album. Oh, no, it's Just Like Heaven. So, yeah, a great cover of Just Like Heaven by The Cure off of this album. This is kind of like a jazz album, essentially, but there's some good covers on there. After that, I listened to The Smiths, Strangeways, Here We Come. Following that up with Meddle by Pink Floyd. I think that one has the kind of masterpiece. I think it's Echoes, which is like a 24-minute, just prog rock kind of classic track. After that, I listened to Fragile by Yes. Then Disraeli Gears by Cream. Some Aretha Now by Aretha Franklin. Jeez. So that was a really good one. Don't know why I stumbled so hard there. Next up was a soundtrack. I didn't do a lot of soundtracks last year, and if I did a soundtrack, it would all have to be relatively the same genre. So this soundtrack here was the soundtrack to Empire Records. It's all kind of like mid 90s, like alternative style music generally. After that, I listened to Exodus by Bob Marley. Following that up with All Eyes on Me by Tupac. That's a classic, two essentially very full-length albums, a double album, over 2 hours of music from what I remember. Really good one there. After that was Left in the Middle by Natalie Imbruglia. I think that's got, what was it, Torn, I think is on that one. After that, I listened to Strange Little Birds by Garbage. That was their sixth album, I think. Yeah, it came out in 2016. After that was Paranoid by Black Sabbath. That's just an absolute classic. It's got Paranoid. I think War Pigs is also on that. Next was Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves. Then I moved into, I think it's 18 Months by Calvin Harris. Followed up by Tarkio by Brewer and Shipley. I'm actually just going to increase the font here, make it a little bit easier to read. Let's go to 12 point. There we go. After that was Steel Drum Summer by the Island Caribbean Steel Drum Band. That was just kind of like was in the mood for some steel drums, and that's kind of just like hit the spot when I remember listening to that. After that, I listened to How It Feels to Be Something On by Sunny Day Real Estate. Then Bringing Down the Horse by the Wallflowers. Next into some Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with Into the Grade Wide Open. Followed by the Dave Clark 5 with the Dave Clark 5 Return. Into some jazz, kind of like funk jazz. I don't really what do you want to call it. It was Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. Then Dire Straits by the Dire Straits. Just some great guitar work there by Mark Knopfler, I should say. Can't pronounce the name tonight for some reason. After that was Susie and the Banshees with the Scream. Miles Davis with Birth of the Cool. And then a dance classic with Aquarium by Aqua. One of my favorites from them. After that was the Hot Sauce Committee Part 2 by Beastie Boys. I believe that was their last studio album. After that was The Quickening by the Vandals. Then back into Miles Davis again with Bitches Brew. Kind of a somewhat long album, but just like really good. Just an incredibly solid jazz record. Next up was In the Zone by Britney Spears. Has Toxic on it. I think Toxic is one of her just absolute best songs. And that was In the Zone by Britney Spears. Then I listened to Honey by the Ohio Players. Next up was I Remember Yesterday by Donna Summer. Then Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt. Just a great kind of alternative ska album. A lot of their most iconic hits are off of that album. Or a good amount of them. Next up was Reckless by Bryan Adams. Then listening to basically a pop music masterpiece with Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. Even though I think we discussed in a previous Essential Album video, I actually think overall I like One of the Boys just a little bit more. But Teenage Dream is also just incredibly good. Next up was another soundtrack, and it's all kind of dance music essentially. But it was the soundtrack to A Night at the Roxbury. Love that movie, and the soundtrack is just incredible as well. Next up was Boston by Boston. Just an incredibly good album from them. After that was Power Slave by Iron Maiden. So just some iconic heavy metal music there. After that, we have Dave Matthews Band with Under the Table and Dreaming. Then Back into High Life by Steve Winwood. Following that was Holiday by America. And then an incredibly good hip-hop debut with Ready to Die by the Notorious B.I.G. After that, we have Hands All Over by Maroon 5. Gravity by Our Lady Peace. I remember listening to that last year, and I hadn't listened to Our Lady Peace or that particular album for a while, and just remembered how amazing it is. It's a great album. After that was Fermentia 2 by Metric, the follow-up to their previous Fermentia album. Not probably my favorite Metric album, but it's still really good. After that, I listened to 52nd Street by Billy Joel. Some more John Coltrane with My Favorite Things. Then I listened to Juicy by Willie Bobo. After that was Brat by Charlie XCX. Probably overall, I think my favorite album last year, or at least favorite album released in 2024. It was just incredible. Then she did the remix album, which was just amazing as well. After that, I listened to 10,000 Maniacs, MTV Unplugged. It's just a great unplugged show from them. After that was the Bee Gees with Children of the World. Get a Grip by Aerosmith. Some more jazz with Eric Klug and or Club KL Klug, I guess Klugh. Earl Klug and George Benson with Collaboration. Really like that one. After that was Crash by Charlie XCX, so one of the a little bit older album, but still a very solid one from her. After that was Giorgio Moroder with From Here to Eternity. Ariana Grande's Eternal Sunshine. After that was 1989 by Taylor Swift. I think I ended up listening to the original that time around. I think the original is just slightly better than Taylor's version, even though I think the Taylor's version is pretty good as well. After that was Off the Wall by Michael Jackson. Following that up is Kenny G with The Moment. Next after that was Anicia, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, with Princess Pop That. Rubber Soul by the Beatles. Followed that up with The College Dropout by Kanye West. Then into first time listening to that one. And next up was a new album for me as well. It was The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. Just an incredible pop music debut there. One of my favorites from, I guess it came out in 2023, but I first listened to it last year. So one of my favorite albums from last year, I guess. After that, I listened to Being Funny in a Foreign Language by the 1975. Following that up with Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. Just a incredible album from them. Just kind of paying tribute to a lot of the the Giorgio Moroder track on there is just incredible. So Random Access Memories by Daft Punk is amazing. After that was Stunt by the Bare Naked Ladies. Discreet Music by Brian Eno, so a little bit more ambient music there. Then I listened to Liberal Animation by by No Effects. After that was After Hours by The Weeknd, and I think I had heard Blinding Lights before, but I never heard the entire album until listening to it last year, so that was an incredible album as well. Some more Aqua. I listened to Aquarius, which is the follow-up to Aquarium. Not quite as good as Aquarium, but still very good, kind of just dance music, basically. Next up was Ray of Light by Madonna. I think probably my favorite Madonna record. It's like probably between that and her first album was really good. But yeah, Ray of Light is just incredible. After that was Get Close by the Pretenders. Then The Fame Monster by Lady Gaga, so basically her debut, and then which was The Fame, and then they did The Fame Monster, which was basically expanded upon that. That's a really good one. After that was Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182. Next after that was Mixed Bag by Richie Havens. And then Cigarettes After Sex with Cry. I first remember seeing them, I think, opening for Garbage in 2016. And thought they were pretty good. And then listened to, didn't go too deep into their music until last year where I listened to this one. Pretty good as well. Yeah, and I think the theme of the next few albums here, so this album were all opening, yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next 4 albums after this one, including this one actually, are all, the theme was all bands that were opening acts I had seen for other bands. So again, we have Cry by Cigarettes After Sex, saw them open for Garbage. After that was Content by Joywave. I believe they opened for Metric the first time I saw them. Then I listened to Wanderer by Cat Power. And when I saw Cat Power, it was in 2021 when she was opening for Garbage and Alanis Morissette for the Jagged Little Pill anniversary tour. And then after that was Pleasure Venom with Rebirth and Return. I remember they opened for Garbage, I think, in 2019. And then I listened to Live It Out by Metric, because the last time I saw Metric, they were opening for Garbage and Noel Gallagher a couple years ago. Live It Out, one of my favorite records from them. I don't think it gets as much recognition as it probably deserves. The title track on that is great. Monster Hospital is really good. Overall, one of my favorite Metric records. After that, and that's kind of the end of the opening act, little theme thing we were doing. After that was Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. I remember hearing that song initially in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That's a good album there. After that was So-Called Chaos by Alanis Morissette. Then following that was Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges. Followed up by She by Harry Connick Jr. Super Unknown by Soundgarden, just an incredible album from them. Black Hole Sun's on that. And then rounding out this episode is Only by the Night by Kings of Leon. So that is the next 100 albums we listened to. Again, there'll be links in the description to check out the previous 3 parts of this series, as well as a list of all the albums I just mentioned as well. So that's going to do it for now. We'll be back again in a week with the next 100 albums, and we're going to go through all the albums, 100 at a time, and then at the end we will go through all of the kind of graphs and charts. I kind of did them quarterly, so the first one we look at will be like January through March, and then and so on. But we're going to get through all the lists first, and then we'll get into just the statistics of everything. So again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.